I know in my last video I said I didn't want to do any more Seven Deadly Sins reviews. I was really annoyed at the last chapter, but after reading this chapter, I had to do another one just for chuckles. Like, there's so many aspects of this chapter that it's like, okay, I see what you're doing here, but at the same time, there's so much shenanigans in one place that doesn't make sense that it legitimately feels like a fan fiction. Like it's not even a joke. So they open up, Meliodas, was pissed off that he's freaking out that he thought Elizabeth was crushed by a rock. I don't know how her character again would be smashed by a boulder, but during that, it's just like, okay, Merlin did in fact catch her, teleport her away. And again, like what I said in the last chapter review, it's like, how would Merlin not do anything? The bitch literally just has to snap her fingers and teleport her. And then they bring the curse back, and it's like, okay, the curse is here again. But it's easily destroyed, and then it just regenerates. So wouldn't you be able just to keep destroying it, and then you'll be fine? I mean, it's like, it's really weird in that aspect. I get it was kind of like, oh, it wasn't actually gone. You think they'd notice it come back? I'm a little bit confused of how they wouldn't, they wouldn't realize that this horrible curse put upon her. Like, it should have some form of presence, shouldn't it? I don't know. I feel like the fact they didn't check or do anything afterwards is kind of unbelievable. I at least liked that Meliodas' Demon King form looks cool. I'll give him that. I will give this series that, because that's, even going back to the previous, like, the Demon King form that the adult Meliodas body had when the Demon King took over. Again, at least he looked cool, and he was, like, intimidating for all of, like, one chapter. But after that, it kind of got really silly. I legitimately laughed out loud at one point, because after the last chapter, there were so many people being like, oh, the Supreme Goddess still exists, the Supreme Goddess and the Goddess Clan, they're going to do these things, they're still available to be bosses and enemies yet. But when they're talking about it, they're talking about the curses, and they're like, oh, it's regenerating. And it's like, well, Meliodas is like, all right, my eternal curse was placed upon me by the Supreme Deity, but Elizabeth's was placed upon him by the Demon King, which means he's not dead. And this means Meliodas' curse is gone, which in an idea, it's like, okay, he's not immortal now, so there is some form of weights to going into the next battle because he could die. But then you have to keep in mind, this means that the Supreme Goddess, from what they just implied, is gone. She's dead. She can't exist. Like, Nakaba has clearly just decided that he's not going to do anything with her character. I would be surprised if she was mentioned again after this point. I mean, could she appear? But then it'd be like, well, then Meliodas is immortal again, and that whole fact that he's immortal, he can't die, is out of the way. And that just opens up an entirely new kind of goofy aspect to it. And again, I thought, like, the fact that, again, that Merlin could just snap her fingers, teleport Elizabeth out of that quote-unquote inevitable death, unavoidable death, clearly avoidable. I mean, if what she's throwing is a big rock, that's what's going to come at her. What's going to happen when any of these characters were just alert, on their alert, and then, okay, something happens? Like, you could put a spell on her that, or at least like a spell within the vicinity that maybe that Merlin would know if something would go awry within a certain amount of time and in a certain manner or something, or she could act if anything happens in the future. And again, I don't know if I mentioned in the video that you could come up with the argument. It's like, okay, maybe the curse makes it so everyone around her isn't aware of whatever is going to kill Elizabeth. But Merlin is immune to that. Merlin is immune to that because she was given a gift by both the Demon King and the Supreme Goddess to be immune to curses and commandments and whatnot. So she has absolutely zero reason why she wouldn't catch anything. But again, super silly in that aspect. The biggest thing about this chapter that it's like, it feels like it's a fan fiction because it doesn't make sense. So you have Cusack and Chandler, who merged back into the original form as the original demon, who, was split apart by the Demon King, and somehow they just broke apart. They're still there. No one noticed them leave. No one noticed their presence. And they're just like hiding out in a cave with all 10 commandments available. And this is, again, this is such, it feels like fan fiction, because it's like, how would you again explain how they got away? Like, you see a part literally in a flashback when Cusack runs away with the Ten Commandments and Zeldris, and again, nobody notices two extremely high level demons on top of carrying the Ten Commandments with him away. No one's gonna notice that power leave the vicinity, or even notice like these characters should all be extremely well skilled and extremely like aware of their surroundings. How would they not notice this character with another character coupled on him with literally the half the power of the Demon King straddling behind him in a little darkness like net? That's absolutely ridiculous. And then he just kills Chandler. What was the point of Chandler's character? Like, Chandler was cool for 10 minutes when he first showed up. I don't understand the point of his character. I don't understand the point of him, because he showed up, he was like this super cool master spellcaster, and then he was like showing up Merlin, and then it was like, okay, time to get serious, and he just took out a sword, and then he's like, I'm gonna swing a sword, I'm just physical now. I know I was way more impressive when I had all these crazy spells, and I feel like Nakaba just wrote himself into a corner where he's like, okay, shit, I probably shouldn't have this powerful of a character when the only people that could beat him are either on his side or, you know, and then he wrote out the possibility of Escanor being a threat to him, because he can just nope away the sunshine power by putting up his pseudo night layer. But again, it's so silly. And then they bring back Cusack and Chandler just to kill off Chandler. And again, it's like, Chandler, what did your character ever accomplish outside of that first 10 minutes you existed, and that first just like couple cool spells you did? Like, he was cool at the start. He showed up, he brought Night with him, he dropped meteors, and he could like lock command people, cancel spells, shrink people, do all this cool stuff. And the second he's like, I'm gonna get serious, he got buff, and then he had dragon wings, and then he pulled out a sword, and all he did, he just swung his sword around. I don't know how you manage to get a buff where you become less impressive. I don't know. Anyway, but following that, you have Cusack, who's like, I'm gonna turn Zeldris into the Demon King. He's gonna be the true Demon King now. He gives him the power, and like, again, the cocoon of, what is it called? Cocoon of Darkness is formed, and they're literally just in some cave and who fucking knows where. And you have the same like super forging of a Demon King, and nobody notices. Nobody notices that, and that's really confusing. I don't understand what logic is behind that nobody notices this guy spawn out there, or him growing and like just going through the motions, him absorbing all 10 commandments, and then Zeldris being the new Demon King. I will give him one thing. I mean, it's kind of like it's like half a point. He looks cool in that form, but again, like, what I'm kind of confused about is like, Demon King Meliodas got a whole new badass outfit when he came out, but why does Zeldris just in ripped clothing? Like, shouldn't he have had his own cool armor set and those, you know, weird arms that go behind his back? I don't know about that. And then there was kind of like a little bit of hype from Cusack being like, oh, you're gonna be stronger than the Demon King, you know, as your father version in no time. Again, I don't know if I believe that. That sounds like just like he's hyping him up. But the real kind of thing that's in my head, it's like, you had a chance to, one, have a really cool villain with Mil Starosa. You had a character, and I don't want to go too much into this because I've ranted about it a million times. You had this cool character who was pretty much a fallen angel, you know, light and dark, merging into one being in between the two races. This dude who pretty much lost his romance to his rival. And, like, there are all these things around him to be made out into a great character. Well, he was a great character at the time, and a perfect final villain. And then you just bring in the Demon King, you beat the Demon King, you make Meliodas stronger by now giving him Demon King level powers in a new form, and then you bring back the Demon King in a weaker body. Why? What is the logic in that? And again, it's like, oh, he can get stronger. You know, Cusack said he can get stronger in no time. The idea of that is stupid because it feels like an asspull. You're giving him a far inferior character, and then it's like, oh, you're going to power up beyond what Meliodas Demon King was capable of in apparently a short enough time that it's not going to be like, because they can't be like 10 years later in the story, because that'll just be like, what, they waited 10 years to do anything? He just sat around for 10 years, or, you know, long period of time, and then insert number. It has to be a short period of time. But on top of that, they beat the Demon King with Meliodas' body, while almost everybody there except for Bon was exhausted on magic. Like, King was one of the most powerful people there. He was pretty much low, and he was like running on fumes. Same thing with like Male. You had Zeldris. You had all these different like big characters in there, and they beat that one buffed up. So now you have everyone fully charged, refreshed, at full power, with Meliodas on their side, who now has a far more powerful form. I mean, and now he's just gonna like probably have what other bullshit powers he's gonna pull out of his ass to go against this guy. And what threat level is this guy? What threat level? Why was this would have been like such a perfect chance for it to instead have been Male Starosta Demon King, but also like maybe like a sign that's like the Demon King isn't in control, and it's actually been Male, you know, the corrupted crazy one that we saw and I wish was the final villain. And then he's like, no, and they're like, oh, you have the power to go be the king now and take down Meliodas. And instead he's like, no, I'm not ready. There's one more thing to do. And then he like, you know, there's a hint towards the goddess, the supreme goddess, and then he goes and steals her power. And then on top of that, he could have both of their powers merged into one and then figure out how to beat him. Then you have an actual like super threat of a really good character. And instead now you have Zeldris who didn't want it. So now if they have Gowther go in and have everyone go into his mind, similar to how they went against Meliodas, they're gonna have the same situation, because he doesn't want to be the vessel. He wants to go be with his vampire chick, whatever her name is. So it's not like they have that like, well, they beat, one of the reasons they beat the Demon King is they were battling both his physical body and his soul at the same time. But again, that's an easy fix, because Zeldris, the person in that body, doesn't want to it. Like literally as Cusack is like, oh, I'm gonna make you into the Demon King. He's like, no, I don't want to stop. Because again, he wanted to be with his girlfriend. So that whole area of possibility for, you know, maybe they'll beat him, they won't, maybe it'll be harder because of this thing. It won't be. And given earlier in the chapter, it's implied that the Supreme Goddess is dead, she doesn't exist. The fact that everyone is not only refreshed, but Meliodas has a more powerful form. So what exactly is the threat that Zeldris, Demon King Zeldris, as it would make more sense to say, is going to present? Because he won't. It's just him. He doesn't have an army. All of the 10 commandments and the 2 demon generals, whatever their title would be, the original sinner, they're all gone. Anybody left that you could probably pull out from the goddess clan is gonna be on their side. You already have another Demon King. Like, what's stopping them from just doing, oh, 7 Deadly Sins super combinational attack, put all their power into Meliodas? What is Zeldris gonna do? They can literally all revenge counter him into nothing, or, you know, something like that. The problem is that even though it's like a twist, it's like, oh, this bad guy still exists. It's like, but he has no threat level. Again, I know people complained in my last comments like, oh, you didn't like this, but you liked the rush ending for Fairy Tail or something. I mean, it was rushed, I'll give him that, but at least Zareth got a good out, and they beat Acnologia with ways that were already established in the series that were weaknesses to him. But this would be like if they killed him off and then brought back like, hey, it's normal Acnologia and he can't use his dragon form. And on top of that, we gave everyone enough time to get ready, get healed up, get refreshed, and Natsu can have all his buffs still available, and they're not temporary or limited or will completely destroy his arms for using. Or, you know, you can pull it into these other series. Again, it'd be like, you can just grab a series, Naruto, and be like, hey, Madara's back, but it's plain Madara. And Naruto and Sasuke both permanently are in their Sage of Six Paths mode. Well, he's totally a threat now. It's ridiculous. It's dumb. It feels like a fan fiction. It feels like somebody didn't like the ending, and it's like, well, I could formulate a better ending through this way. And it's like, okay, you kind of have a good idea, but there's so many issues in this that it doesn't make sense, but we appreciate your effort for trying. I don't know what Nakaba's doing. He had such a good thing built up with Mel Starosta, And he could have done something with this to make this seem more of a threat. Like maybe instead of just killing off Chandler and Cusack, he absorbed their power. Maybe he'd go around absorbing other people's powers into his own. I mean, really, what's he gonna do? Just a big ominous nebula? Like, he's got nothing like impressive. There's nothing he can really do. And really, this like that big hand thing that the Demon King did in Meliodas' body kind of was very similar to Ominous Nebula anyway. Like, I don't know what exactly is like a threat level here. It's kind of goofy. It's nothing really for me to be like, oh crap, there's still stuff going on. It's just like, they're gonna beat him, and obviously they beat the bad guys in the end. That's, you know, you can't just be like, well, that's gonna happen in any series. But it doesn't matter if there's no threat level, and it's literally they beat somebody far beyond this already, and not like, oh, it was a temporary power up. It was very situational how they beat that last guy. It's like, no, they have everything capable that they beat Demon King Meliodas for Demon King Zeldris, and it's just stupid. It's such a frustrating thing, because like, this, my take on the series, I've been reading it since it came out. I like the first arc. The second arc was good until Meliodas got his powers back, and then the 10 Commandments just kind of became punching bags. And then I was kind of back and forth with the arc after that. I really liked the Male Starosta stuff. I was really on board with that. I was having a lot of fun week to week reading those chapters. And then since pretty much King grew a stupid pompadour mullet, and Male Starosta shouted the evil away out of him, out of like a Christian, what is it, like straight camp commercial, like a 1960s, I guess it'd be before that, it'd be like 40s or something, back when they could get away with ridiculous shit like that, like straight camp, or you know what I mean, like literally like Pray the Gay Way or something completely garbage like that. That's pretty much what happened. They're just the commandments like, we're never gonna leave your soul. Esterosa or male, whatever they refer to him. I like to call him Male Starosta. We're never gonna leave your soul, and then he's like, go away, and he yelled, and then they left his body. It was so stupid. And I know people are gonna be mad listening to this, being like, if that are fans of this series, or feel mutual that they're upset that the series is going, but they're like, you know, you're being too harsh on it. I would have been perfectly, you know how much happier I'd be if the series was good? I don't like trashing on a series. I stopped reading it, or I stopped reviewing it rather, because I didn't want to just talk about negativity. But I'm so annoyed right now with where it's going that I want to put it out there. If it was just like, if it just ended with the last chapter and Meliodas and Elizabeth left off and they lived happily, I'd be perfectly okay with that ending. It was rushed, but you know, whatever, it's over. But instead it's being dragged on with, again, what feels like a fan fiction. And it's not even like it's made sense. Like, again, I'm dragging this video on, but again, I talked about like a sequel. If it was a sequel, it took place somewhere else in the same world, but a different country. If Zeldris was like, oh, there's more Demon Kings in other countries, or maybe like, maybe he pulls out something like an ancient artifact that maybe was hinted at earlier in the series. What is it? The Cocoon of Darkness or Coffin of Darkness or whatever. And he's like, oh, I figured out a way to turn that power that was able to hold all 10 commandments at once and absorb it. Something in there at least implied that put this dude as a threat. I mean, maybe something in the further chapters will make him a threat, him doing something or other to pull some huge power up out. But in this chapter, what is there to be a threat about? He's like, I'm still alive, Meliodas. I mean, dude, they just kicked the shit out of you like a few days ago. Where exactly are you trying to pull in like a, ha ha ha, I'm gonna get you? This is literally Wile E. Coyote right now and Roadrunner, where he's just always like, this time's different. And it's like, no, it's not gonna be that time. It's not gonna be that time. It's goofy. It's entirely silly. And I wish that Cobb at least let this series end with some dignity and put it out of its misery. Because again, going forward from here, I don't know. I don't know what his plan is. I don't know what his plan is other than being like Zeldris for some reason, like being a bigger bad guy than a stronger character with all 10 commandments. Who the fuck knows, I guess? But anyway, tell me in the comments what you think about this, how you think about how this series is going. Again, I wish this series was doing better. I would, at least in my opinion, if you somehow still like this, that's your opinion. Again, I would have been much happier to review this chapter with happy thoughts in mind, as well as every chapter. I would be so much happier if every chapter was good. I don't think anybody's like, you want the chapters to suck. No, I want them all to be good. I want them all to be good. You think I like reading over 900 chapters of One Piece and then like reading a chapter and being like, this is so boring? No, I want every chapter to be good when I put this long of time in it. Like this, I've been reading so many of these, like 10, like this I've been reading since the first chapter came out. Of course, I don't want it to be bad. But other than that, like I said, comment below. I really appreciate if you thumbs up the video, befriend the like button and the subscribe button, and check out my other videos. But other than that, I appreciate everyone who's already subscribed, and I thank you all for listening. Bye.